This is a physical education class where a single mistake could cost lives. And the training tool is a real grenade. The boy nervously takes the grenade, and before the instructor can say anything, he pulls out the pin. The instructor shouts in panic, terrifying him so much that the grenade slips from his hand and falls to the ground. The instructor immediately runs away without looking back, leaving the other kids frozen in place, too stunned to move. At this life-or-death moment, a boy rushes forward from behind and throws himself onto the grenade without hesitation. He slowly lifts his head, and there is not a trace of fear in his eyes. The boys are completely shocked, unable to believe that a boy could be so determined to face death. Because this is a Nazi elite school, a place designed to train top military talent for the leader of the regime. These boys are considered the future elite of Germany, and after graduation, they are expected to become regional leaders, and these regions refer to Washington, Moscow, and London. Admission to the elite school is extremely strict, selecting only one out of hundreds. First, they must have pure Aryan lineage, and even the colors of their pupils and hair are strictly examined. They must also pass physical tests and ideological assessments, and any small mistake would mean instant rejection. 17-year-old Friedrich works in a coal mine, but after today, he will never dig coal again, because he defeated a student from the leader's elite school in a boxing match. A military officer from the school witnessed the entire scene, and the officer approached him, hoping to invite him into the elite school. The boy feels his life is finally turning around, and he immediately goes to take the school's tests. And with his pure Aryan background plus the officer's recommendation, Friedrich passes smoothly. He returns home and tells his family the good news. This is the kind of elite school others could never enter no matter how hard they try. Yet he is met with firm opposition from his father. Friedrich cannot understand and refuses to accept it. His father raises his hand and slaps him, because what Friedrich does not know is that his father is secretly against the regime. But Friedrich will not give up this chance to change his life. That night, while his family is asleep, he leaves a letter behind and slips away quietly. Soon, Friedrich arrives at the school to register. Everything is new to him when he first arrives, and the moment he puts on the uniform, he is filled with joy and cannot help but salute himself in the mirror, feeling as if he can already see his glorious future. In the assembly hall, as he listens to the principal's passionate speech, Friedrich feels incredibly proud, and he is quickly swept up in the atmosphere, gradually falling under the influence of the school's ideology. A new student arrives at the school in the middle of the night. His name is Alrech. He is the son of a high-ranking official, but unlike other privileged kids, Alrech is not arrogant and instead helps Friedrich tidy up his bed on his own initiative. Friendship between children is that simple. They play with guns together, learn to fly planes together, and even sneak off to peek at girls bathing together, quickly becoming inseparable friends. But in Nazi education, there is only victory and no friendship. The school holds a boxing selection match, which is Friedrich's greatest strength and his only chance to prove himself. In the first half of the match, Friedrich is beaten until his face is covered in blood, but once he figures out his opponent's moves, he begins to strike back quickly and uses his skilled boxing techniques to knock his opponent to the ground. The crowd erupts in loud cheers. Friedrich thinks he has already won the match, but unexpectedly everyone, including the coach and the principal, shouts at him to hit one more time, and Friedrich hesitates because his opponent is already on the ground. So why should he keep hitting? At that moment he remembers what the coach once said.
In diesem Moment musst du alles Menschliche aus dir raustilgen. Das ganze anerzogene Mitleid und die ganze falsche Scham.
So he clenches his teeth and throws a heavy punch that leaves the fallen opponent unconscious. And only then does the coach reveal a satisfied smile. Because this is Nazi elite training, cold-blooded and ruthless, everyone cheers for Friedrich, except Alrech, who stands there with a serious and confused expression. Even after the match, Friedrich is still immersed in the joy of victory. Alrech runs over to question him, saying that the opponent was already down and he still hit him, asking if he had no compassion at all. Kind-hearted Alrech feels disappointed by his friend's coldness, and the two part ways unhappily, but they do not know that the truly cruel part of Nazi education is only beginning. A boy lifts his blanket and realizes that what happened last night is not simple, because someone has already snitched on him, revealing that he wet the bed. The instructor orders him to move out his mattress, then tells him to take off his pants and urinate on the mattress in front of everyone, but the boy cannot do it, so the instructor punishes everyone along with him, making them repeatedly do squat jumps until he urinates. Shame, guilt, and fear overwhelm him, and in tears, he finally does it. But this is not enough, because his nightmare is just beginning. A few days later, the boy wets the bed again, and the same snitch comes to harass him and demands hush money, saying that if he doesn't pay, he will tell the instructor again, but the boy has no money.
Deine 14 Sportlehrer.
And remembering the previous punishment, he cannot bear to go through it again. Today's training is grenade throwing, and yes, these are real grenades, and the boy nervously holds one in his hand, and before the instructor can speak, he pulls the pin. The instructor shouts in panic, completely frightening him, and the grenade slips from his hand and falls to the ground, and the instructor runs off on his own without a second thought, leaving the other kids frozen and helpless. At this life or death moment, a boy charges forward from behind and throws himself over the grenade without hesitation. When he lifts his head, it turns out to be the boy who wets the bed. This sudden scene shocks everyone. The next day, everyone gathers in the hall for a solemn funeral held in his honor. The boy who wet the bed saved everyone without hesitation, and he is awarded a hero's medal. But Friedrich knows that he did it because he could not bear any more humiliation or blackmail, and he chose to end his own life. Sometimes dignity truly can matter more than life itself, and the boy who dropped the grenade is expelled from the school, but neither the instructor nor the one who extorted him receives any punishment, as if nothing ever happened. Today's training is high jump, and the instructor is emphasizing the importance of abdominal muscles. To show off his abs, he orders boxer Friedrich to punch him in the stomach, and the instructor takes a deep breath. The instructor cannot complain, and for Friedrich, this punch is for the boy who wet the bed and died just days before. Alrech feels that Friedrich's punch took real courage, so he wants to invite him to his father's birthday dinner, and the two friends make up again. At the dinner, Alrech has specially written a poem to read to his father, but before he can even begin, his father cuts him off. His father has no interest in his poem and doesn't want to listen, and Alrech feels deeply hurt. But once they learn that Friedrich is a boxer, everyone suddenly becomes excited, and they go down to the basement and make the two boys box for entertainment. Under the crowd's constant urging, Friedrich throws a punch and knocks Alrech to the floor. Albrech's father rushes forward and eagerly hugs the victorious Friedrich, praising him again and again, without caring at all about his son lying on the ground. In his father's eyes he has no presence, because to these officers only the victorious and the strong matter. This once again creates a rift between the two friends. One night, Albrech's father suddenly arrives at the school with an urgent mission. A group of captured Soviet prisoners being transported to a camp has escaped near the school, and the boy's task is to capture them. They each receive a real gun and a few live rounds before setting off. Some hold their guns with excitement, ready to prove themselves, but more of them wear uneasy expressions. After searching for a while, they soon find the fleeing prisoners in the woods. In the darkness they fire without confirming anything. Only when they approach do they realize that these prisoners are unarmed, and like them, are only a group of underage boys. Alrech immediately shouts for bandages and hurriedly tries to stop the bleeding of the wounded Soviet boy. Watching these kids their age die one after another leaves Friedrich completely shaken, because they are nothing like what their superiors described. At that moment, Albrech's father arrives and without saying a word executes the wounded boy. Now Alrech is completely disappointed in the school, his family, and his country. The other prisoners are driven together by the soldiers and then killed. These unarmed Soviet escapees become the new recruits' first brutal lesson, but at night, the gunshots echo endlessly in their minds. The next day the teacher pretends nothing happened and tells them to write an essay about winter scenery, but Alrech writes his true thoughts and reads them out loud. He passionately condemns his father for shooting unarmed underage prisoners.
Teil des Bösen bin, vor dem ich die Welt immer bewahren wollte.
Alrech, hör auf.
Gefangene zu erschießen ist Unrecht. Sie waren weder bewaffnet, wie Gauleiter Stein angab, uns aufzuhetzen, noch waren es Männer.
He is quickly thrown out of the classroom, and when his father learns of this and comes to the school, he refuses to let his son challenge his authority and orders Alrech to rewrite the essay and admit he was wrong or be sent to the front lines. But Alrech refuses. Friedrich questions why he wrote such an essay, saying that someone who cannot even win a boxing match would be in grave danger if sent to the front. The two fight and then hold each other and cry, never imagining that this first fight would also be their last. Another deadly physical training class begins, and in -30 degrees, a boy takes off his clothes, plunges into an ice hole, and swims forward under the ice while holding onto a rope, and the others nervously watch. After a long time, the boy finally emerges from another ice hole dozens of meters away. This is today's training lesson, with a difficulty level of 9-0. Soon it is Albrech's turn, and he stares at Friedrich, waiting until he sees him climb out of the far ice hole before jumping in. But when he reaches the middle, he stops and quietly gazes into the abyss below the frozen lake. Seeing that Alrech has not come up for a long time, Friedrich, who has just put his pants back on, suddenly realizes something, and he rushes forward, clears the snow on the ice, and shouts Albrech's name. Alrech looks up toward the ice and slowly lets go of the rope, and Friedrich desperately shouts as he tries to break through the ice, but it is too thick, and the two press their hands against the ice to say their final goodbye. Alrech gently shakes his head with a look of resolve, and he chooses to confront his father in this heartbreaking way. Perhaps only death can free him from this terrifying world. Friedrich collapses naked onto the ice, yet feels no cold at all. Back in the dormitory, he is overwhelmed with grief. He has lost his friend forever, and he is completely disillusioned with this merciless school. Albrech's parents also receive the news of their son's death. His mother breaks down crying, while his high-ranking father only frowns and says he was too weak. Friedrich wants to do something for Alrech. He types an obituary for his dearest friend, hoping to publish it in the school newspaper, but the principal firmly rejects him, because in the eyes of the regime, those who take their own lives have no place, and even Albrech's parents think the same, making his death seem meaningless. They even suspect that Albrech's decision was influenced by Friedrich, but the school gives Friedrich a chance, saying that as long as he represents the school and wins the boxing match, he can prove his loyalty. So this match decides his future. The match begins, and Friedrich defends first as usual and attacks later, and once he figures out his opponent's moves, he counters unexpectedly, and his strong offense quickly knocks the opponent to the ground. He looks around blankly, seeing the cheering crowd, the approving principal, and the high-ranking father with no grief for his son. Yet the only face missing is Albrech's confused one, thinking of everything that has happened at this school. He wonders if this is really the honor he wants. Suddenly Friedrich slowly lowers his fists, and the crowd shifts from cheering to complete confusion. His opponent seizes the opportunity and lands a heavy blow that knocks Friedrich down. Friedrich chooses to give up his bright future and stand with Alrech against this unfeeling world. Now the defeated Friedrich becomes the school's disgrace, and he no longer has any value. The principal orders him without looking up to remove his uniform, including his underwear, because everything belongs to the school. He is pushed back to the dormitory with nothing on, puts back on the clothes he came with, and prepares to leave. None of his former roommates even look up at him, and the coach shoves him all the way to the school gate and drives him out without mercy. The boy stands in the snow in his shorts and looks back at the place that once gave him pride and honor, but in his eyes there is no trace of affection left. He turns around and strides toward home, the boy who used his life to protect his dignity, and Alrech, whose kindness never fit this world. Make Friedrich the lucky one. He still has the chance to leave alive before losing himself completely, but the other boys will continue to be indoctrinated until they become the last hope and the expendable forces of Nazi Germany. I am a film enthusiast. Welcome to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.